Aloha.
Aloha.
And welcome to Wisdom Dialogues with Hope Johnson, coming to you from Upper Kapoho on the beautiful big island of Hawaii. Hooray! Ah. Everyone, let's just take a moment to tune in. Just watching any thoughts that are passing and watching the energy fluctuations and kind of come into a space of joining. Joining in openness to the truth. Yay. Thank you. Thank you. It's so beautiful to come together like this, you know, just in an open space where there's willingness to know what's true. Just willingness to know what's true. Non-striving. Non-striving. Not trying to get to a better place. That's the ego's game. Always trying to get to a better place. A better situation. Better circumstance. Better person.
In fact, that's why people would even come.
People would even come what?
Here.
That
It's a
might
type of striving.
that might be a motivation that's on the surface, and you know, it's like the striving is always going to be there as long as there's an ego. It's just a willingness to relax beneath that striving, rest beneath it. You know, let it kind of play itself out, burn itself out without your involvement in it. You know, and just watching it, that thought that says, you know, how do I get better than this? You know, it's way different than, you know, you can also come to Wisdom Dialogues with a sense of, oh, it's nice to get some relief and some comfort, you know. It's nice to get some relief and some comfort. Like, yeah, you deserve that. But there's nowhere to strive. Once you start using it for striving, then it becomes more like work. And it's not anything that you have to work for. You know, your willingness to be comforted is really all it takes. There's a strong resistance to being comforted, and it's all in thought. It's all thinking that you know what's going on. You're trying to make meaning of the meaningless. Why did they say it like that? That was senseless. Well, of course, the whole thing is senseless, and it's coming out of your mind. So, in the instant you stop striving and just surrender to the comfort that's available to you, that's when you're shown the way. But it's not, you know, people try to make it about the world, like you think you know what you want. You think you know what you want in the world. And as soon as you think you know what you want in the world, it sets you up for suffering. So when you have the thought, it seems like you want something in the world, just let it pass. It'll take care of itself. It'll work itself out. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Then there's never been any I to do anything. That's not how it works. You're watching a show and then identifying as the doer. Or the one who's not doing it, the one who's being lazy, for instance. It's just a show. No one even has a choice in it. So if you find yourself working towards something physically, that's okay. That's just part of the show too. That's just the thoughts playing out. You have these apparent desires. You apparently think you know what it is that you want. And then those thoughts just play themselves out. You don't have to do anything about it. And they play themselves out in exactly the way you need to see through the illusory world and see through the thought of separation. So when you are willing to acknowledge that you're always in exactly the right place, that's what gives you what you need to relax. It's thinking that you need to get to somewhere else that causes the tension. But it's really the present moment is exactly where you need to be, like just in the present moment, not like in your house or with a certain amount of money or all the different thoughts that make you into who you are, but just the present moment, and recognizing that that is exactly what you need right now. You could get the information from the moment. You know, there's so much going on in the present moment. There's so much information. There's so much, data, you can say, that's being used for awakening your mind. You know, all the information is there for awakening your mind. But it's not, it's like it's not seized. The information just kind of like passes because there's this focusing on information that's either past or future.
Yeah, so one of my favorite scripture quotes is, "Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, and there's a sufficiency of thy grace in this moment."
Nice.
And so I can't get internet where I live now, so I'm internet less, but I'm getting all kinds of internal downloads. It's incredible. The less that I focus on the computer and what they're doing there, in my silent space, I'm receiving all kinds of information and revelations and downloads from within.
Yep, that's how it works.
That's how it
Yep,
works.
that
I'm
is how it
really feeling
works.
that.
Yes, everyone who's open to it is going to receive it because it's always being offered. Everyone who's open is going to receive it. The downloads, you could say the downloads, the comfort, you could say. The downloads come with the comfort. So you could have no internet, for instance, and be worrying about things, and then you're not going to get that information. But there's plenty of information available to you in every moment that you're not focused on the externals, on the surface things. Anything worldly is a surface thing. It's a surface thought. It does not need your attention like 99.9% of the time. You know, there's sometimes when you're focused on a certain thing, like, for instance, I was sending an email to someone this morning, and I was thinking about the contents of the email. But before I send the email, after I send the email, any thoughts about that are irrelevant, right? You notice that it's filled up with the space in the mind is filled up with these thoughts about what's been done, what's going to be done. And, if you're alert to them, when you see them crossing, you can just notice them. Notice them. Even notice if you follow them. What's happening is these thoughts are arising and not being noticed. They're not being noticed. They're just taken as true. It's like it's talking to you and you're going, okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, Sergeant. It's like there's this automatic obeying of the thoughts. And it's like if you're just noticing them, then there's not that automatic obeying of them. It's just noticing that it's nonsense. It doesn't even make any sense to you. Those things that are playing out, they're not even for you. Thoughts will just occur to you. Maybe some person will pop up from the past or something. And it's so meaningless. And just a distraction. It's just distracting. Just distracting your attention. If you notice, you'll see all kinds of energy fluctuations, like different emotional turbulences coming in with the thoughts. A memory or something, notice these different, you're just like, having this whole experience that's a distracted, basically the experience of a distracted mind. Basically, that's the experience of a distracted mind. So, not to make having the experience of a distracted mind wrong at all, but it's in noticing that that's what's going on. Because when you're distracted and you don't notice, then the distractions are taken over. If you're distracted and you don't notice, you're just asleep. Right? As soon as you notice you're distracted, you're awake, unless you start judging yourself for being distracted. Then you went to sleep again. You went to sleep in the judgment about being distracted. See? But when you just notice that you're distracted, even I'm using this thing for a distraction, whatever it is. I'm using this, whatever it is, for a distraction. Going out to eat, or I don't know, whatever. I'm using this as a distraction. You're awake in it. That's the point. You don't have to not have your distraction. You know, if you're awake in it and recognize that it is a distraction, then that's how it's being played out and being burnt out through you. So it's actually a great service, because it's not just burnout for yourself, it's burnout for the mind. And it helps everyone. It's just the noticing. That's the wakefulness in it. It's just the noticing of it. And then watch how your mind will be moved to analyze. And it's like, just step back again. Listen, there's nothing to analyze about yourself. You're not anything that the thoughts are making up. The thoughts are making a person. You're not the person. You're not that person. Oh, yes. Welcome. Thank you. Yay. By taking the person to be yourself, then all of a sudden these thoughts have some kind of weight. Then they need to be analyzed. Because then there's this person who's like unhealed and needs to work something out.
Yeah, there's that scripture, who by taking thought can add to his stature one cubit.
Yes, there's nothing that you can do with thought to yourself. Nothing. Except, you could make yourself more of an individual in your own mind. You can make that individual thought stickier in your own mind and have it set you up for different sufferings. That's all. But even in that, even in finding yourself in the midst of suffering, that's exactly where you need to be. It's perfect. It's perfect. No one actually suffers. That's why it's perfect. Not you. It could be said the ego suffers, but there's not really an ego. An ego is also a thought. So when there's suffering occurring to you, it's like it's occurring to you, or it's projected onto a screen and you're watching it. You're watching the one suffering. You're not the one suffering. You're watching that. So when suffering occurs to you like that, it's very different. It's just allowed to burn. It's allowed to go and have its play, have its energy play. Giving it space in your body's energy field to play that out. And it's just okay. You're not looking for a way out of it. I got to find a way out of this suffering. You're not trying to look for a way out. It's like, okay, well, if the whole thing is suffering, then that's what it is. That's the show I'm watching. It doesn't change the fact that you're joy. It doesn't change that fact. And there's plenty of joy to be had in the suffering. Because no one's suffering. And the fun thing is, my experience is that it gets to be funny. Like your own suffering. What seems to be your own suffering? What seems to be that? Like it seems like something went wrong, and then maybe a tear starts to fall, and then you see it. When you see it for what it is, it's comical, actually. It's really funny.
There's a quote that says suffering carves out the heart to make more room for joy.
Nice one. It is like that because it's like a burning inside. It's almost like a burning inside. That's how I experience it. And it makes a space. It's like there's a space and you could take a deep breath. It's like it took away the garbage. It took away the self-doubt, the misbelief that was blocking. And then you can breathe. It's like, almost like a balm, like a comforting balm. Balm.
BALM.
Or like that. You could say, oh, that could work too. Balm can work too. Yes. Yeah, it could be like that too. It is like all of a sudden you find yourself in suffering. But the thing is, if you're not trying to get out of it, the paradox is that's how you see through it. You see right through it when you're not trying to get out of it. But when you're trying to get out of it, like, when do I get to the other side? How do I get to the other side of it? You see through it. And, it's the same thing with this world. It's like when we're not trying to get out of it, we're not trying to get even to heaven or whatever. That's how it is. It's more like a release. It's more like a surrender. So it's more like you're allowing the suffering, whatever the circumstance seems to be, whatever the circumstance seems to be of the suffering, you're thankful for that circumstance, even if it's like some group of people or people just accusing you of the worst thing ever, and you want to recoil or something, just let it have you, let it take you. That's how you find your way. It's how you find that thread of bliss to the joyful truth that you are, is through those sufferings. And they're always going to come up as long as you're experiencing a world. You're experiencing yourself as a body and you're experiencing a world. Those sufferings are going to arise. As long as you have the kind of body where you take poos, for instance. If it's not like a light body, you're going to, they're going to arise. The sufferings are going to arise. But watch how they get as you're not trying to escape them. Watch how they get, because a suffering can arise in a moment and just pass away again. But that's only when you don't need it to go away. You don't need it to go away. Like, oh, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? It's more like, thank you. You're thankful to it. You're not looking for the next spiritual practice to try to get you to escape the suffering. That's the thing. It's like once you get to a certain understanding, it's really so simple. It's really so simple that a lot of things that you can get into will take you on a little meandering trip to keep you in the mind longer. But it really comes down to this so simple, am I making this true? You take that detachment and it's like you're watching a show and that's it. It's like when you want to start to get involved in it and you want to start to take care of it like a person, that's when it starts to meander. And having faith that it is unfolding in exactly the way it needs to. You're getting your teaching through time over time with all of your experiences. That's what time is for. It's being used like that by your guide. Time is already being used just like that by your guide. So you don't have to try to manage that in any way. It's all coming up as it needs to for you. Just be ready for the revelations in every moment. And, you know, when I'm talking about with these distractions, they keep us from being ready for revelation. The distractions about later on, yesterday, different memories that pop up, guilty feelings. Did I do it right? Was that the right choice that I made? You can't possibly receive the information from your spirit guide while you're occupied with thoughts about the world. That's all it is. That's all it is. And they're so unnecessary most of the time. Most of the time. Like I said, unless you're focusing in, you like got this project, maybe like, you know, for instance, I'm playing the harp and I'm thinking about how the thing goes together or something like that. But these distractions come up and take our mind out of the present moment, like just how it feels to sit where you're sitting right now, you know, and noticing is all you're having is a body sense right now. Your whole perception is a body sense.
5 senses.
And more. But yeah, but yes, those are very important senses too. You know, it's all putting everything together. The brain's just putting everything together for you, putting together this whole scene. But the first manifestation is the sense of your body. The first manifestation of your mind is the sense of your body, and out of the sense of your body comes the whole world. So, in just noticing how it feels in the body, like where you're sitting, how you're supported on the pad, you know, just like noticing and turning your attention to how it feels in the body, that changes everything. Because then the thought that you were focused on isn't so important, and also your awareness is getting the information that it needs to make to report, like make the adjustments that are needed in the energy field. But there's so much unawareness, so much unawareness of the body's energy field that these blockages just come up where there's tensions. There's like a holding. The pit of the stomach is like a fist. It's like a fist holding the whole body, propping it up with thought. And then just allowing all those energies to relax, more information from spirit comes through. And you're allowed to be you. Be in joy, not be in fear. Getting the sense of who you are is really a matter of relaxing. It's not a matter of striving. And that doesn't have to do with action. You know, a lot of people take it the wrong way and say, well, I shouldn't be doing so much stuff. Like I shouldn't be so busy, or maybe I should quit my job or something like that. But all the striving is in the mind. It's not in the action. It's not in what you're doing. It's in trying to make this world into something and trying to make yourself into something that's against you. Because the whole thought of it, the base thought of it, is against you. The base thought is a guilty thought. The base thought of the whole world is that you separated yourself from heaven, and you didn't. But everything that occurs to you about the world comes out of that foundational thought. So it's really irrelevant to you. Like you could say your body's mind, and that whole complex, the body's mind, brain, senses, all of that, can take care of it. And you can rest here. All those things go on the surface. They just take care of themselves. That's how people get super worn out, thinking that they have to do everything or even hire the people to do the things. Because there's so much thinking. That's what wears people out. It's not the doing at all. It's not in the doing. People can be some superhuman doers when they're not thinking. It's the thinking that makes people tired and makes things seem overwhelming. So even thinking that you're not doing enough, that you should be doing more. The thing is, you don't have a choice in it. You don't have a choice in whatever you find yourself doing, whether it's a little bit or middle amount or a lot. It's not any gauge on how good of a person you are. It's not any gauge like that. Everyone's set up to be different in the illusion. Everyone's set up, wired, you can say. And there's no specialness to anyone who works super hard, for instance. And on the opposite end, there's no specialness to one that just gets to lounge around all the time. It's like that's part of accepting where you are in the moment. What is occurring to you in the moment? Accepting that this moment is perfect. Whatever it is that I seem to be doing, it's perfect. There's no evaluation on how much should I do. How productive was I? There could be a noticing of it, but it's not like I'm happy or sad about it. That's the thing. It's like, like in yoga, some people can do a back bend from standing up or something. But it's like, don't be happy about that. It doesn't make you any different than anyone else. It's like, great. Some poses you're way flexible and some poses you're not as flexible. But that doesn't make you any different from anyone else, even someone who doesn't even practice yoga. Yeah? Because we're all having a different kind of experience as far as the different individual aspects of it. But it's all the same in what it's for. What it's for is all the same. But we all seem to be on different life paths and different ages and different situations and different habits and likes and dislikes. Whatever yours seem to be, as much as you're in acceptance of how yours are, you'll see that you're also in acceptance of everyone else's too. When you're not in acceptance of how you are, that's when the judginess comes up. That's how you know. It seems like it's about someone else. You ever making any comparisons?
Oh no, I wouldn't go there.
Nothing compares to you.
There's just nothing to compare. With the uniqueness, there's nothing to compare. But when you find yourself in comparison, just laugh. It's funny. Because that's one way of evaluating yourself. People even go, oh, I don't know if I'll ever get to that level of acceptance. And it's like, well, what about right now? What about just right now? In this moment, that acceptance, all it is this comfort. It's allowing comfort for yourself. The non-acceptance is like pushing. It's like that fist in the stomach. It's like holding up. It's like building walls and holding everything up. It's like, just release that. Just relax. You know, it's like you let yourself take a deep breath and get a taste of what's really true. It is coming through the senses. It is coming through the senses. There's two thought systems in the mind. One is love and one is fear. And it's coming through the senses and it's manifesting in the world. Your choice in every moment. So if you find yourself making a comparison, and that's a really common thing too. Like when someone, you know, say they, I don't know, maybe they didn't wash their dish, just to live something and wash their dish. They're at your house and they didn't wash it. And you're like, gosh, when I go to someone's house, I always wash my dish. So therefore what? You know, it's way different energy. It's a way different energy because then there's this judgmental thing instead of just, hey, would you wash your dish? Hey, every time you come over to my house and you eat here, would you wash your dish?
I was tripping too hard. I'm sorry.
Then there's that. Then there's that. Only, you know, like when we weren't here, he told me he's not sorry. And I said, good. He's like, I'm not sorry.
Did I?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Maybe you were still tripping.
Wow. I believe it, but wow.
I barfed on your floor and I'm not sorry. Okay, thank you.
Did I say that
You know, that's good. The last thing you need is barf on the floor and a sorry fucker. You know, that's not. That's not helping any matters.
That's right. All I said was, I'll clean it up.
Yeah. Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah, you gotta wash the dish and clean up your vomit.
At least I cleaned up my vomit.
But you weren't sorry.
Yeah, there's never a need to make anyone sorry, like to show them, look what you've done, you know. There's never a need to make anyone sorry, but you can communicate it exactly what it is. You're automatically communicating exactly what it is in just allowing yourself to find the relief, and allowing yourself to not be in judgment, because you're not in judgment of anyone. It's only yourself that's getting that feeling. You're giving yourself a feeling. When you're in judgment of someone, you're giving them a feeling. You're getting that feeling. And they can feel you because the mind is one. They may not even know they can feel you. You know, the whole body is a sensory experience. So when you're getting the sense that someone is doing it wrong, or they should be sorry, he should be remorseful, right? You would say, he should be remorseful. That's going to tell me that he's not going to do it again if he's remorseful. The thing is, he doesn't have a choice in it. And not only that, if you want remorseful people, then that's what you're going to get. You get more of that. You get more of that. People that should be remorseful, let's say. If you think they should be remorseful, if you think they should be ashamed, for instance, then you're getting more of that same kind of thing. You're actually talking about yourself, that's why. And you're teaching your mind that you want to project it onto other people so you don't have to feel it. You don't want to feel the shame that you have for yourself, the judgment you have for yourself. So you want to keep other people outside of yourself so they could carry it for you. Like, how long is that game going to be played, though? That's why you get to know yourself through the illusion. You get to know yourself. You get to know who you are. It's like, how many times are you going to see that shameful person showing up in your experience to carry your guilt for you before you're just willing to have it for yourself, to feel it for yourself and see through it? And my experience has been that it's the opposite of what people think. If you're not making someone guilty, it doesn't mean you're going to get more of that. It doesn't mean that. It's like your mind learns from things. And things aren't even becoming any kind of problem for you. Like, oh, it's that. Okay, it's that. It's like, it's that thing. Now I find myself doing that thing. Now I find myself doing that. Now I find myself laying down. Now I find myself swimming. Whatever. It's all so general. It doesn't matter. So how can anyone do anything to inconvenience you? You know, we have this thing in our community where we have one girl who likes to cut down trees from time to time and block the road. And one of my friends was asking me, you know, what would you do if you, and I'm like, I don't know, but it would be awesome. I mean, there's no fucking difference between what you're doing. That's the thing. And the whole stronghold that this girl would have on anyone is their attachment to doing what they think they should be doing, and they're not getting to do what they should be doing at the time. It totally removes the whole power trip and everything when you don't mind what you're doing. It's like, oh, this is it. This is it now. Now I'm at my car and stopped, and there's some trees, and there's this girl who wants to talk to me. Okay.
In fact, it could go the opposite way too, even looking for it.
Yes.
Looking for this woman doing this funny thing.
Right. Well, here's the thing, in being afraid of it, it's asking for it. And being afraid of it, it's asking for it. And not that particular thing, but asking for it as in something to bring up that feeling for you. It's just in worrying about it. If you find yourself any worry, like worrying about a person, for instance, what a person might do. If you find yourself in worrying about it, let yourself be comforted. Because nothing's happening. But you're worrying about this person and what they're going to do. And then you're setting yourself up for some misery around your interactions. And you're giving yourself misery right now while you're worrying about it. Isn't that fun? So you see what you're doing to yourself. And when you see what you're doing to yourself, it's like, oh, whatever the moment presents is going to be perfect for me. Oh, you can rest now. You can relax, because whatever comes up in the moment, it's perfect. If you have say you have an airline flight, I know those are few right now. Say you have an airline flight and you're trying to get out and stuff and you're not getting out. What a wonderful opportunity. Who cares about your flight? None of that shit matters. Really, nothing that seems to be happening here matters. The opportunity is in the moment. You can be like that. I know the thought is, can I really be like that? Like in the moment when it arises? Yes, if you're willing. Yes, if you're willing to. If it's not so important to you. If it is important to you, it's like you can get that. Wow, this really feels important to me. That's amazing too, just to notice that. Wow, this really seems to be important to me. That I get over there. And now you're standing here. Holy shit, I'm gonna freak out. Okay, I'm freaking out. Just notice. Even if you find yourself freaking out. Hey, you fucking bitch, get the fucking... Just watch. It's a show. You don't have to be scared. But I noticed, what I noticed is this fear that comes up. And look, the mind is one. So as long as you're experiencing a body, all these worldly fears are coming up. But the fear that comes up is, can I handle it? Can I handle it if someone freaks out on me? Can I really handle it? And you know, that fear that comes up, that's identification as a person. You don't have to handle it. You don't have to handle it. You hand it over. And it seems like you have this capacity. It seems like you have the strength to deal with whatever's coming at you in the moment without reacting. But all that it was a willingness to surrender.
Yep, Jesus says, drop your burden at my feet.
Yes, exactly. And in the moment, you know, if you're experiencing, say, an angry person, you know, you might not have time to think. So just notice, watch it as you play it out a couple times. Watch as you're playing out the reactions. You don't have to go to sleep. You don't have to go to sleep in the reactions. Watch as you're playing them out. Because it's through your watching that you'll come to understand. And don't worry about how another person is perceiving you, as in your self-image. Don't worry about that. But always look at how you're affecting them. Always look at your effect on them rather than, this is the ego's way of doing it, what's their effect on me? What are they doing to me? How are they making me feel? But if you're watching your effect on them, and you could see by their reaction, your effect on them, that's the learning. It's not like you have to have a better effect on them. It's not like you did it wrong if it's the wrong effect. You didn't want to see that effect. It's not like that. But you're watching, and that's the undoing. You're not trying to get a good result. You're just watching how everything's playing out. If you're watching how you're affecting them, I'll go back to that one example that I gave last week about a woman who told me, he's telling me I'm stupid. I'm actually standing there with the two of them, and he's telling her she's stupid. And she looks at me and says, he's telling me I'm stupid. How am I supposed to deal with that? And I go, look at him. Look at him. Look at him as he's talking. Watch. Watch the inflections in his voice. Watch his body language. Watch him very closely. And watch how the reactions, you'll start to see the energy play. And whatever you need to say, that'll take care of itself. But watching the energy play, you feel comforted, you feel compassion, because you see this energy play between the two of you. And it's not like someone's doing something to you. It becomes not like, oh, someone's harming me right now. You're just watching this energy play, and you're seeing how you have an effect on them. It's like, whoa, I'm affecting them. The immediate reaction is, oh, how they're affecting me, but it's more like a dance. And it only takes one of you to come conscious about what's going on for it to be a healing. And you don't have to get any kind of special acknowledgement from them or anything like that to know that it's a healing. You just know. You see that energy play, and there's no problem about it. It's just allowing it to be used for healing. And it's like you have a commitment to that person to not make them out like that. Not to make them out like you're doing something. You know, for me, it's just a commitment to everything. All humans and everything. To not make it out like they're doing anything to me. And when you have that, you don't have any conflict, even within, you know, someone telling you you're stupid. It's actually true. So, yeah. I mean, the interpretation, the interpretation, what you're calling stupid is stupid. It is. That's how it is. It's based on fear. It's a concept based on fear, and it's okay. It's okay that it's stupid. It's like, you're right. You're right. I have been really stupid. And I forgive myself.
Yeah, we're all just a bunch of dying ignoramuses.
And then there's nothing happening. That's the thing. We aren't really like that. That's just propped up as an image of self. We aren't really like that.
That's what the ego is, because the ego thinks that an ignoramus is someone that thinks they know something but doesn't.
Sure. Well, anything that you think you know about the world is ignorant. It's just
right.
ignorance. It's only just for the body's mind to play with. It's for play. It's to make something out of nothing so you could recognize who you are. It's supposed to be believable. And when it's believable, when it's believed, that's when there seems to be problems within it. What's wrong? This is a real problem. No, this one's real. But it takes you right out of the moment, doesn't it? As soon as there seems to be a problem, you can't even tell what's going on. Trying to make sense of a senseless world. You can't get the guidance about who you are in the moment. The sense of safety and security is lost as soon as there seems to be a problem. So just give it over. As soon as you stop thinking about it, it's not there. Notice when you go to bed at night and you go to sleep, what happens to all those things? And you wake up in the morning and they all come back. It's just thinking that upholds it all. And notice when there seems to be a problem, like maybe someone doesn't like you, or you have a bill that's overdue or something, how many times it comes back over and over and over all throughout the day. That's because it's made into a problem. That's what you get when you make something into a problem. But it's a choice you're making from moment to moment. It's like, oh, thank goodness there's no problem. Sometimes you'll just get a feeling like something's wrong. And it's like, oh, thank goodness there's no problem. Because the feeling is habitual. It's like a drug addict. Needs to get that fix over and over again to feel alive. That's like, oh, thank goodness. That's made up. That's make believe. Only make-believe things can steal your joy. And they don't do it by themselves. It's you choosing a make-believe thing over the truth. It's you making that thing meaningful. Making your idea of your body, your career, where you are in life, meaningful. Making the government meaningful. There's lots of making the government meaningful these days. Hey, why don't you stop doing all these COVID restrictions? It's like, who gives a shit? Do what you do. It's perfect for me. When whatever you do is perfect for me, that's when I can use it. I can't use it when I'm fighting. I can't use it when I'm fighting against it. I wish they would just stop having these restrictions. That's a way different energy than I'll use this. I know how to use this. It's all passing. It's all changing and it's all passing. And it's always been, you guys. It's always been. It's the end of the fucking world. It's all. Oh gosh, it's all going hell in a handbasket. It's always been that vibe. So it's just showing it to you like in a more prominent right now. But you know, for those of us who were around in the 80s, we were about to get blown up by Russia any minute. So that's how we lived as children.
I had to hide under the desk.
We practiced hiding. So
It's gonna do a lot in a nuclear war.
yeah. Yeah, it's so funny, but it's like it's not gonna do a thing but spark up the fear. And that's what all of it's for. It's always like showing you, presenting it to you. Oh, this is new though. Now we have something new. Now we have a new situation. Now it's a virus. And now we're talking about a shot. And now we're talking about, you know, a microchipped microchipped vaccine or something. And it's like, no, it's not new. It's the same shit. It's just showing it in a different way so that you'll believe it this time. You know, just like you believed it last time.
Fell for the scam. The scamdemic.
If you fall for there's something wrong.
The ultimate propaganda.
If you fall for there's something wrong, period. You know, oh no, they want to do this to us. And on the opposite side, you have the people who like the quarantine and they support the quarantine. And they're like, those people who are not supporting the quarantine are really like putting us all in danger. Either way, either side, you have an opportunity. And, you know, what side you're on doesn't matter. That just depends on programming, which is completely impersonal. So, so whatever side you find yourself on, that's where you could put the healing into practice. That's where you can take the opportunity. Whether you think there are people who need to follow the government's rules, or you think the government's rules are really ridiculous. Either way, you have an opportunity, and either way, nothing's happening. And it never has. Nothing has ever happened. So there's no need to make this one more important. There's no need to make this more important. When I was at a women's sweat close to when the pandemic thing was just coming down, I was at a women's sweat and there was a big conversation about what we think this is. What do we think this is? What do we think this thing is? And, you know, these different theories and all this kind of stuff. And they go, Hope, I'm sure you have something to say about this. Don't you have something to say about, tell us. I go, it's nothing. It's just nothing. You know, it's like, and when you see the elevated emotional response to it, that's how you know it's nothing. You're just making something out of it.
Well, it's like you say, to be able to use it.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity. It's like this is a portal into something new. We can never go back to the way it was before. We can only move forward into something different, something new. So it's an opportunity to look ahead to see what we want to manifest and create for ourselves. And
if you want to uphold the world, that's what kind of opportunity it is. If you want to uphold the world, that's it. That's what it is.
Well, like you say, this whole world is make-believe. It's made up. There's, like you say, there's no real creation here.
Yeah.
So the idea is to really just go beyond this world.
Yes, if you're using it as an opportunity in the way I'm talking about is allowing yourself to get some relief. When you're allowing yourself to get some relief, the creativity takes care of itself. You don't have to try to visualize the world that you want. You don't have to try to. It's like when you allow yourself to get that release, the creativity can work through you. It doesn't necessarily have to come through your physical form, but it works through your perception. So the world, it takes care of itself, but it's giving you exactly what you need. And look at your perception is subjective. It's giving you exactly what you need. Look at it like this. No one else is here. No one else is here. It's just you having a perception by yourself. So whatever the world seems to be right now, that's exactly what you need. It's not really like that. It's not really like that. You know, it's like there's this point in time, there's this point in all time that you're perceiving right now. But it's not really linear like it looks. It's really an opportunity right now for you to get the comfort, and the comfort is not in the ego comfort of trying to make a better world. Because in trying to make a better world, you go back into striving, and you set yourself up for disappointment. You set yourself up for feeling disappointed. The world is never going to be what you want it to be. It's just not. You know, if you get to the acceptance of, oh, the world is never going to be what I want it to be. Awesome. Okay, then I can use it for what it's for, which is seeing beyond it. You know, a lot of people have resistance to that this world is not what you want. A lot of people have this resistance to that, you know, and I notice like some of my friends, especially after going through the COVID restrictions and everything like that, they're like, we're coming to see what you mean. It's not, you know, it's just putting your eggs in that basket, like trying to get the world to be what you want it to be. The only reason it's being presented to you at all is so that you can see through it. If you're looking to find comfort in it, you're going to be very disappointed. It's just going to follow everything that you think is comfortable about the world. It's just going to fall apart. And you know what else? You're witnessing a body that's aging and dying. So what are you going to do? What are you gonna experience it with? You know, it's like, geez, there's just nothing here. There's nothing here, and it's gonna show you that over and over and over again. That's the whole nature of it, to show you that over and over again, that there's nothing here worth striving for, so that your attention goes to being in the moment and healing that thought of separation only, and not getting into trying to make the world into something or trying to even figure it out. There's nothing to even figure out. You know, one day you're at the beach, and the next day you go to the store and you're wearing a mask in the front of the store. Doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make any difference. Sure, you got to smell your own breath a lot more. But it does. It's really no different because of what it's for. And everyone's there to support you, you know. Your perception of them is completely for you. You made them up like that. They're totally supporting you in whatever they're saying or doing. You need to hear that. Doesn't mean it's true about you. You need to see that behavior in them. It doesn't mean that's about them. You're making them out that way. You don't see anyone clearly, including yourself. You're getting a sensory experience. It's like a body sense, thought sense, right? Body and thought sense. And the projection that you see on the screen is coming out of that. It's coming out of that sense. So go back to the sense and let comfort be there. The body doesn't need to be resisted either. Any kind of urges or tendencies or anything like that, let them be. Leave them alone. And by leave them alone, I mean let them play out the way they do. Just be watchful. It's all body tendencies. You're relating. Everything just in being watchful of it and not falling asleep in the idea that it's about you. That's how you're using everything for healing. And it doesn't make it like, oh, like you feel slighted or something. That's the best, feeling slighted. Like you thank the person, you don't have to thank them physically. They might not know what you mean. But, just internally, thank you. I got one of my biggest awakenings when it seemed like someone was taking our brand on Amazon. And I was just like, felt myself kind of like freaking out. I was in the shower and my mind was just racing like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. They just like took our brand and they're selling our brand as if it's their brand and we don't have it trademarked and it's like all this different stuff. And my mind just went to thank you to that company, the person, whoever was behind it. My mind just really went to thank you. And then, all that idea of a business, of a brand, of all that, it could just like fall, and you're just in thank you and you're getting the big energy sensations that were before seemed like there was so much pressure, like someone's doing something to me, and all this clenching, but getting the big energy sensations is more like love making. It's like, thank you. You feel this big energy moving through you. And, from the ego's perspective, it's meant to get you really worked up and really clenched up, even sick. That's how people get sick. But, your spirit guide is always with you and showing you that this is beautiful. This energy is beautiful. It's actually exciting. It's actually awakening. So that's why it comes as a thank you, because it's like, wow, this is really awakening. It's showing me that none of this matters. This is how I can see that none of it matters in the reaction. So that's where it is. The reaction is coming automatically, and in the reaction, through the reaction, that's how you see that none of this matters. Because you could have peace instead of that reaction. That's why it doesn't matter. And in order for you to have peace, you have to be willing to see that it doesn't matter. Peace doesn't come from thinking you're going to figure it out. There would be no way any peace was going to come from any kind of thought. Oh, it'll be okay. It'll all work out. No, I don't want that. I don't want it to all work out comfort. Comfort before I even know what's going to go down. Comfort before I even know what's going to go down. And then I don't mind. It could be like, well, you know what? You lost your brand now because now we trademarked it and now we have your products. And it's like, oh, okay, thanks. Go float in the warm pond then. I don't have any work to do. Apparently that isn't how it went down. They just kind of went away, but it didn't matter. That's the point. The point is that it didn't matter. Emotionally, energetically, you could find yourself even hiring an attorney. Still, emotionally, energetically, it doesn't matter. It's not the surface play. It's not about what you should or should not find yourself doing. It's not like that at all. It's about how much peace you can have within any moment. How much peace you are deserving of because of who you are. And how much peace you're allowed when you allow it to come. And it's not how much peace you should have either. See? If you'll admit when peace seems to be lacking, if you'll admit when it seems to be lacking, that I don't want it right now. I must not want it. Show me. Show me. Because I know that I do want it, but in identifying with a false self, I'm trying to uphold my agreement to keep this world going. That agreement to keep the world going is what makes us hold on to suffering. Okay? There's an underlying agreement, and it's not held together by anything because it's just a fearful agreement. There's an underlying agreement that we're going to keep this world and we're going to keep this suffering alive. We agreed to do that together. And that's why, some people might take offense to you're not upset about that. You're laughing about that. You're not upset. You're supposed to be upset. You agreed to be upset. You agreed to act upset. Something like that, whatever it may be, that's supposed to upset us. You might even get that from family members or friends. Something like that, that's really supposed to upset us. That's because that's the underlying agreement. That it's supposed to be upsetting. And when you're allowing the comfort for yourself, another person can be upset and it's okay. Another person can come up to you and feel very angry or resentful toward you, and it's totally okay with you. But that's because you're allowing that comfort for yourself. It's not serious, but it's okay. And the person can just have their energetic reaction. And it's not anything that makes them into a bad character or something like that. It passes. People just blow up sometimes. And then they go to the other side. But if you make it meaningful, like, hey, I can't have that. I can't have you blowing up like that. Then you're making more of that. I don't want to be around a person who's blowing up all the time, for instance. That's what I mean about you're in the right place. You're in the exact right place. You might find yourself not being around that person the next moment, but in that moment, it's just perfect for you because it actually came from you. I was in yoga in some kind of pose that was like pretty challenging. And then I hear, God damn it! This is just the other day. And it's just part of it. All the sounds, it's not someone should be more whatever. All the sounds, they just come and they go. And then the people who have a tendency to get like that, they are so thankful that they're just allowed to have that. They're thankful to you that they're allowed to have that. That's what you see in the practice of it, that those people are so thankful to you. Like when they awaken out of that, they see you. And you're still loving them. And you get that compassion for yourself. When you feel that compassion for yourself, you're allowing the other person to be as they are, and they're learning exactly what they need to learn anyway, so there's nothing that your upset can do for them. For me, even this might not work the same for anyone, but for me, even, I found my son getting so angry, he's putting holes in the door. He's punching and putting holes in the door. And then and then come up to me and, Mom, I'm so, afterwards. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. For someone it might matter. It might, if it matters, then it's okay. It's like, hey, can you not put the holes in the door though? Let's fix the door or whatever. But it's like the immediate reaction is like, oh my God, something's damaged. But there's nothing, even if you're paying for it. There isn't anything. Nothing's damaged. Nothing's wrong. The thing that can be damaged, you can say, is a person's innocence, and you feel that reverberating when it's like, hey, you should know better, you should this, you should that, especially after the fact. Whenever you make a person guilty, that's going to be what's reverberating. It's like a punishment set up for yourself. But the beautiful thing about any of that, because it is so illusory and because it is so passing, that when you set someone up like that, when you set someone up as if they're guilty, you can always give it up. Never mind. That was about me and it wasn't true anyways. You can always change your mind. I had one with my daughter where I said a bunch of things came out of my mouth. And immediately after they came out, she looked really hurt. And I was like, that wasn't about you. That was about me and it wasn't true. She's like, really? This was many years ago, but it's like, it's one of those things. It's one of those moments. You have a moment with yourself, let's say. You really have a moment with yourself because all of these things are coming out automatically. It's like, you're this, you're that. Why couldn't you be like this? Why couldn't you be the person that I dreamed of or whatever? And then you go, wow, that's about me. Never mind. Just disregard all that stuff I just said. And it's like really hard for the ego to humble itself to that. But it's amazing.
I found a good word for this type of thing. Spill.
Spill.
Like it just spilled out of my wherever.
Yeah. Yeah, like that just came out of my ass. Never mind. Yeah, you're right. Psh, all that. Psh. It's like to the ego, if it comes out of your mouth, then you have to defend it. And that's not how it is. You don't have to defend anything that came out of your mouth. If it just came out of your mouth and it doesn't resonate with you, then never mind. One of my friends said, anything that's coming out of this, don't take it seriously.
Do that, right?
Yeah. Anything that's coming out of this thing, see this thing right here? Don't take it seriously.
Even when it's vomit.
Yep, that's right. Don't take it seriously. It's all, yeah. And your interpretation is what it means to you. Same thing goes for wisdom dialogues. Your interpretation, what you take of it, is what it means to you. And what I notice is it being taken a way that it's not intended to be taken, and that's okay. That's okay. Someone asked me before, he said, what do you think about people getting the wrong idea about, what you're saying? Because I guess in some places they say you don't share this stuff with everyone because they get the wrong idea. And I said, I just have ultimate faith in their guide, that they'll guide them through exactly what it is, exactly what they need to see through it. But if you're not, look at your relating look at the way you relate with people, look at the way you relate with everything. If it's not like super harmonious and peaceful, you didn't get it yet. But keep listening with an open mind, not making it into something. That's why I talk a lot about, hey, this is not about doing things. So you don't apply it to what you're doing to try to make it like that. And the ego will take these things that I say and make them into some kind of guilty thing for you. So just be watchful of that. Be very watchful of that. I see that go on a lot. It's like, well, everything's okay, so I can just, be a dick over here or something, because everything's okay and nothing's happening, And that's not what I mean, because that's not helping you. That's not leading to peace. See, the whole purpose of knowing, the whole purpose of this knowledge is so that you will allow yourself more peace. So if it's not going in that direction, then you don't get it, and that's okay. You keep on listening, as you do anyways naturally, and your guide shows you. So all of your experience, it becomes just for learning or getting it deeper. It's like, oh, okay. Oh, now I know what she was talking about. At first I thought it was like this, but really it's like this. Really a person that comes up to me hurt, it's not like they're separate over their hurt. It's like, I made this. I made this thing. I made this idea of a person who even thinks that what I'm doing right now is not okay. If there's a person in your experience and they are expressing to you that whatever you're doing right now is not okay, you're making that like that. You're making that like that. And you're not in charge of your actions still. You're not in charge of your actions. But in seeking them to give you approval, you've gone right back to the ego again. You don't need their approval for you to be okay. You don't need my approval, for instance, for you to be okay. So when you're asking them to show you that it's okay, that's because there's guilt there. It's okay because of who you are. But if you need that validation from someone else, you're already denying it to yourself. And whether you get the validation from someone else or not, you've already made yourself into something that you're not. So the validation coming from another person is not going to be relevant. It's not relevant at all. It has to come with you. It has to come from you. It already is okay. It's like you could say everyone's helping you to forgive yourself.
Well, the validation comes from God, who says, "Here is my beloved child in whom I am well pleased."
That's what it says he said. Mm-hmm. And that's what, you could take that to heart, that God is pleased with you. God does not see you the way you see yourself. That's a dream. So that's why God's judgment is only love. It's like you're dreaming. It's okay, wake up. You haven't even done anything. No one else has done anything. That's the thing. Everyone else is also the beloved child of God. So when you're holding something against them, what you're really doing is holding it against yourself and holding yourself as if you're separate from God. It's like when you were born in God's mind, not born in the world, but it's like when you were born in God's mind, you made an agreement with God to be joyful and unified and not to make yourself out to be separate. Let's say that. So the agreement you made with the world, the agreement you made with everyone in the world to pretend like you're separate is totally superseded. You could say that God made an agreement with itself. Because there's no separation. You could say that God made an agreement with itself, and then the itself that God made the agreements with, thought they were something else and made a separate agreement with each other that's meaningless to hold up this world. That's what you see when you see fault in yourself or another person. You see the effects of that agreement. It's like every relationship, every friendship where people are getting close, it leads up to, you've offended me, now I'm going to offend you. That's because of that agreement. You've offended me. You stepped on my toe. You took a shower too long. Took too long in the shower. You punched a hole in the door, for instance. You've offended me. Now I'm going to offend you. You see that in really blatantly in like some really immature relationships. I saw it on a show. The other night. The guy called her selfish or something, and then she called him a cripple. It's like, just, that's the agreement. Oh yeah, well, you're this. And it doesn't even have to come out of your mouth like that argumentatively to be playing. See, these thoughts occur to you. Well, they're just that. And they're not benign. They're super powerful. So it's like acknowledging how powerful these thoughts are that we're working with. They're making up a world. So when you think negatively about yourself or anyone else, it's making a world like that, a whole world. That's why you'll start to see things going downhill, like especially as you get more in tune with this, how you're making the world, and you notice one thought and it didn't get recognized in the moment, and then all of a sudden it seemed like all this bad shit's going on. All of a sudden it got really heavy, really fast, and hooray for that. That you can see it getting really heavy, really fast like that. Oh my gosh. First I thought he was against me, and now it looks like that guy's against me. Now it looks like she's against me. No, it seems like it's me against the world. Now it seems like those guys ripped me off, or whatever it happens to be. It's raining on my beach day. As soon as you recognize that you identified and it started to steamroll, some people have to step in shit for that to happen. I've had that occur too, like right in front of me. Someone came over, complaining, all the way out, stepped in shit. Then I laughed. Of course. He's like, I bet you're going to say that this added up to that. And I go, well, it is kind of like math like that, though.
Shit plus shit equals shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was a friend of mine who I've known for a little while, and it looks like my battery's going to run out, so I might cut off early for the video, but I'll stay with you guys. A friend of mine who got to know me one time sitting at the Natch, and he's like, nothing's ever wrong, huh? Nothing's ever wrong. And for some reason, he found himself at our house. I'm not sure why. Maybe he was buying something. But he just wanted to tell me all of the complaints because he knew that about me. So he just wanted to tell me all of the complaints. And little mishaps kept occurring until finally he stepped in shit. And then, I laughed. He told me he's going to kill something. He told me he was going to kill something. He was going to kill my cat, and would that be okay? And I said, and I said, well, if that's what you have to do, I understand. But it's I might do something to try to stop that. I don't know. you know, it just always adds up to, and if you watch it, it does add up. But people don't see that because it just gets covered up and they don't sense the pain in it. But if you're watching it, you'll see how it just adds up to one more thing, one more thing, one more thing, like that, until there's finally a surrender. So then the man was kind of like, okay, I'm releasing it. Never mind. I don't want to drive down the road like this now. Who knows what's going to go on? Drive down the road. And it also gets it to be what is perceived as more painful. Some of you might be getting the perception that it's more painful kind of when you go off track. And hooray for that. It's not really more painful. You just notice it more. Because what it would be was just covering it up with more stuff. And once you're aware of it, once you're aware of what's making the pain, it does get to be more painful. It's like, whoa, can I even handle this energy? This is intense. But that's only because you're becoming more aware of it. And yay for being more aware of it. Because the more aware you are of it, the more healing that happens, the quicker it will go, the less you have to die, for instance. The less you have to go through deaths, let's say. Okay? And sickness. Which is really getting a sense of death, a sense of deserving some disease. So that's really what the manifestation of sickness is. And you can say that sickness or pain or suffering or anything is the mental coming out in the physical. It's funny how, you know, like in the raw food community that I've been a member of for a long time, Primal Diet, talks about detox like it's a body thing, but it's all mental. You know, it is a detox. It is a detox. It's the pain in the mind coming out in the body. You know, where it gets askew is that it's a body detox. But the thing is, there is no body. There is no body. So all detox that you see, it's a detox of the mind. That has to do with pain, any kind of sickness. So it's not like it's wrong to be sick. You know, you can't be sick, really. That's why it's not wrong. You get the impression that you're sick. It's not wrong, but it's useful. It's useful because it's unwinding this pain. It's showing you what you're holding in the mind if you're willing to see that it is mind. If you're willing to recognize that it's mind and it's not caused by something in the world, you don't have that worldly justification anymore. Now it's just the mind making up sickness. Great. Now you can see to the cause. Now it's open to you to see to the cause. And once it's seen, it's resolved. Once the cause of your sickness is seen, it's just instantly resolved. But it seems to take an overtime thing to see this. For the most part, it seems to take this overtime thing. But that's only going to occur like that for a certain amount of time too. Until it's more instantaneous. It's like, oh, I know what that is. Okay, it's guilt. But when people will get like a sore throat or something and go, oh no, I better take some echinacea. Which is fine. No problem there. But it's not lack of echinacea that's giving you a sore throat. It's lack of peace. That's all. It's like, oh, what's going on? What am I attacking myself with that's giving me this sense of a sore throat or even a sore body? I like to play with that one, sore from working out. This morning, my whole body was feeling sore from working out. And I'm like, okay, I know it's not from working out. And it's in just in being open to it, you start to see little things that you're holding against yourselves. And you guys, they're so subtle. They're so subtle. They start to come to the surface when you're willing to see. I was sharing with my husband the other night that I noticed this real subtle sense, like I'm just not doing enough on the harp. Like I'm just like, there's a subtle sense, I'm just like not doing enough with it. And it's like, it's subtle, but it's powerful. It makes illusions. This is one of the things that I could see my mind using to uphold the world. You're not doing enough. You're not doing enough with it. And the more you look, the more you'll see these subtle energies. And when you see them, they get relaxed. When you notice them, they get relaxed. That's all it takes. It's not an analyzing or anything like that. It's like, oh, I didn't notice that before. Now I notice it. That's awesome. I don't have to accept that. And the funny thing is, my harp teacher is always telling me how she loves my dedication to playing the harp. She's amazed at how much I practice. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Where there's an attraction to guilt, and we all have an attraction to guilt. If you're perceiving a body, you have an attraction to guilt. Where there's an attraction to guilt, it's going to show up different ways. It doesn't matter what kind of accolades anyone's giving you either. It's just going to show itself. It's going to present itself. And so that's why anytime, even if it's muscle soreness, I'm like, no. Let me see. Let me see what it is really. Because it's in the seeing that these things get resolved. It's trying to keep them covered up. It's trying to keep them in the darkness. And that's our agreement with one another, to keep them in the dark. To just have that feeling like you're not doing well enough on the harp and just don't notice it. Just don't even notice it. There's just this underlying feeling. Letting all those feelings come to the surface. It happens when you don't justify the pain, any kind of pain, any kind of painful sensation. Don't justify it with the world. You just want to see what it is that's making the pain, because it's your mind. And then the mind gets exposed. These little things get exposed. And these things that seem like they're small are very powerful. They're powerful enough to make all of this look and feel real. And if your goal is, and I know your goal is because that's your agreement with God as a part of God, to see through the illusion of separation. If you feel committed to that goal, to see through the illusion of separation, you won't make any of your pain to be justified by something in the world. It's just normal to say, I'm sore from working out, right? And then everyone accepts it. That's the agreement, you guys. That's the agreement. Oh, I get it. You're sore from working out. Yeah, I get that too. Maybe you shouldn't work out so hard. Maybe you should take it more easy on yourself. That's also part of the agreement. See how all that chatter goes away when there's no justification for it. Then it's just, show me what's making this pain. Why is there pain? If there's pain, there is a mental cause of it.
No pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain. That's right. All right. So we've gone an hour and a half. That's going to be enough for today, because I would really like to get Orbaz's song in, and I'm running out of batteries. And if we have questions afterwards, no, we're going to use this.
Okay, good.
If we have questions afterwards, then we'll see how long the video goes. And we might have some more conversations afterwards, but would like to get Orbaz's song in here.
Oh, I'm so fascinated to do this.
Oh, we're fascinated to hear. At least I am fascinated. I just love this song.
Happy.
It rocks.
Well, this is called Tendrils of the Great Love. And I wrote this a couple months ago, inspired by Hope and her teachings, and about hope.
How fun.
Nice. She smelled only sweetness, like flowers blooming fresh. She could see, she could see, she could see, she could see. Only peace, only peace, only peace, only peace, only peace. And the tendrils of the great love, the face of all that we are, fingers of the hand of God, holding all as one plan. A great plan. Once I knew a woman who lived as God's own hand, asking spirits guidance to help her understand. She said, let me see, let me see, let me see, let me see, let me see that you are me, you are me, you are me, you are me, you are me. And everyone wants relief. Ask it and you shall receive. Knock and you will enter. Fall into the central sun, the tendrils of the great love, the face of all that we are, fingers of the hand of God, holding all as one plan. We sing all as one voice, belting out the great song, seeing clear with all our eyes, every place and time as one land. A dreamland. Yes, all of life is but a dream playing out upon a screen. Our own emotions put it there to make us think that we should care, to cause our healing to arise. All our laughs and all our cries, they're meant to wake us to the truth. Now I'll spell it out for you. Nobody is separate. Everyone is innocent. Death is an illusion. Suffering is confusion. We are always already free. We're always already complete. Swimming in the ocean sweet. Drinking in our true being. The tendrils of the great love. The face of all that we are. Fingers of the hand of God, holding all of us as one plan. Just one time, that idea, forgot to laugh, but we got to feel. A guilty mind, a place and time, and in the end, we got to find knowing and flowing and showing and growing that love is true. You can feel in your soul and the marrow of your bones that there's nothing to do but be tendrils of the great love, the face of all that we are, fingers of the hand of God, holding all of us as one plan. We sing all as one voice, belting out the great song, seeing clear with all our eyes,
it's so long, and you remember all the words. That's amazing.
Four
That was
verses.
good. Thank you. Rock and roll.
Rock and roll dialogues.
Yeah. Hey, we still have video on. Yay. Ah, how beautiful. That feels great.
Yeah, maybe post those lyrics
Sure.
so
Yeah.
we can read them.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'd love to.
Yay.
I can send you a. Well, didn't I send you a video of it?
Yeah. Me too.
I think I sent you one, Bob. But I'll send you the lyrics. Or I'll
Send
post them.
send us a video in the group email.
Sure.
Yeah, just put it in there, and then everyone can have access to it.
Yeah, that's what
Yay.
For me to
And for
understand
those of
how it
you
works.
watching on Wisdom Dialogues right now, go to Orbaz, excuse me, go to his YouTube. What's your channel?
Raw Edges of Life. Well, if you go to rawedgesoflife.com, you can get.
Go to rawedgesoflife.com for Orba. Yay. Does anyone have any Wisdom Dialogues related questions? Yay, we
Love is the answer, whatever the question.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Make it all general, and love is the answer.
What was that site again? I have to write it down.
rawedgesoflife.com.
Raw edges.
And if you're looking for Hope Johnson, go to hopejohnson.org. Isn't that easy? I have a book on there in case you don't know about the book, Unschooling for Parents. You can get it easy access there. In fact, if you have Amazon Prime, I think you can get it Kindle for free. So hooray, everyone. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I love you.
You have Miracle Botanicals, and I just realized today there's a little connection that I never had thought of before. Miracle Botanicals, Course in Miracles.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
You did? For the first time ever?
I also
never realized that.
I also have Miracle Botanicals, miraclebotanicals.com. Yay.